Hey guys, welcome to the show. I'm your host Deepanshu, and now from the land of fascinating and fearless career paths, a person who involves the wisdom of a scholar with an openness of a therapist. If you ever sought answers to the questions that you're too shy to ask, well, guess what? You are in for a treat. Please welcome today's guest, Miss Yulia Svirid. She is a certified sex coach who took her education from SexU from the USA, and she's using modern mindful practices and coaching tools to empower people to have fulfilling and healthy sex life. Yulia is offering one-on-one coaching to the individuals, to the groups, online and offline as well. She's also spreading sexual education to adults by the means of content and public speaking. Now, before we start, here's the little disclaimer. The topics we are about to touch are going to be sensible for some people, so viewer discretion is advised. And with that being said, please welcome our today's guest, Miss Yulia. Yulia, how are you feeling today?
Oh, I'm feeling very excited.
It's amazing to have you here.
Yeah,
So
pleasure to be here.
let's just dive right into it.
Right.
Yulia, you have a very unconventional career choice, especially when it comes to the conservative Polish society. So my question is, what made you choose this path, choose this journey? Can you take us through the beginning to the end, and where you are at currently?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's like, sorry, this is a very peculiar question always because I don't think I actually chose this career path. In all fairness, I think it chose me.
Right.
So
Okay.
it went like this for me. It started a few years ago, and I'm gonna be talking about pretty like sensitive things for myself as well right now because I just feel that this is important to discuss this as well. So a few years ago, I had I found out that I had an HPV, which is like one of the sexually transmitted infections, and it brought me to the point where I almost had cancer. So I obviously naturally I went into this mode of like, why did this happen to me? Like,
Right.
what the hell went wrong? Why am I in this place at a very early age?
Hmm.
And this is how I started reading more about this topic. And I remember this. There's this beautiful book by Emily Nagoski, "Come as You Are." It's like a Bible of sex education, basically at this point. And I remember just reading that book and being so pissed off. Like I was just pissed off, like page by page. I was just reading it. I was like, how come I think I was like 24 at the time. How
Right.
come it's like I'm 24 and this is the first time I'm finding out basic things about my sexuality, and I don't mean just like the sex part of it, but I mean my health. I mean, like my body, like how it operates, what's happening in it, like about all the diseases that can be transmitted, about all the like the pleasure that it can experience, like everything. How come it's only now? So I was so angry. I
Yeah.
was so incredibly angry. I was like, somebody gotta change this fucking thing. And I was like, I think that somebody's gonna be me.
That's great. So
Yeah.
the book that you mentioned is Come As You Are.
Come as you are, Emily
So it's
Nagoski.
like, as you mentioned, it's the Bible of sexuality. So
Yeah.
what does it actually involve? Is it about the sexually transmitted infections? It's about discovering your body. It's about pleasure, orgasm. Like, is it the mixture of them all? And do you recommend everyone to go through this book, regardless of he's a man or a woman, to just read it? What do you think?
Yeah, no, absolutely. First of all, definitely it's a combination of all of those things. Like, so it's a beautiful collection of incredibly valuable knowledge about sexuality. I think the book was written primarily for women or for vulva owners. So I'm not sure if this would be as valuable for men, although I'm pretty sure that they can find something interesting for themselves in there as well. But definitely, this is always the first book that I recommend for people who are getting into this topic. This is always the first book. This was the first book for me, and I know that it really does the job.
Right, right. So you can confidently say this was the book that ignited your path towards this sexual education.
Yeah, I mean, as the
Right,
first push, it was that book for sure, but I think it was cooking up for years, to be honest, because
right,
I was always that friend, like, open to talk about these topics. I
right.
always was there, available for my friends who wanted to discuss their sex lives,
Yeah,
because somehow I never grew up, like, in a sex positive family or, like, sex positive school or anything. Like, there was none of that, obviously. Like, there was
exactly,
just none of that.
exactly.
But I was, like, sort of, there was no extra shame to put on this topic in my upbringing, and hence it was much easier for me to just talk about this, and hence like my friends were always coming to me, and it was like super interesting for me to talk about this.
So as you said that you didn't grow up in a very sex positive family, and still you had an inclination towards speaking about sex openly,
Yeah.
and combined that to the circumstances that you went through and through this book, you just decided that you want to take a path towards educating more people and to tell what you are initially missing in your life, and it could potentially better them. And how has it turned out? Like, for example, how would you describe your work to someone you just met at a cocktail party?
That's a very good question. I mean, normally, to be completely in all honesty, when I do talk to people who don't know a lot about this topic, I normally say I just work in the field of sex education, and then like
Right.
if a person, I sort of this is the way for me to sense where people are with this topic because not everybody is comfortable talking about this. So obviously, like I wouldn't want to throw on them everything that I do. But then if a person is curious, they start asking like, oh, so what exactly do you do? And then I start describing what exactly I do. And because also sex coaching is such a new career path, like I mean, it's a new
Yes.
profession, really. It's always it's a bit tricky because I don't I, like it's not, I have to explain like the whole sexual education, and on top of that, I have to explain the profession, which is kind of easy to do because we at least like therapy has become so popular and coaching, life coaching has become so popular. So it's very easy for me to say. So it's basically like life coaching, but you know, with the inclination towards solving concerns in the realm of sexuality.
Right.
Like that's it.
I also think that just like our mental well-being or physical well-being or let's say spirituality, I think sexual part is so tabooed in the society. Let's take the example from previous centuries. It has always been put in a certain part that it should stay in shadows, and
Yeah.
because of it being in shadows, there
Yeah.
is not much uh, education, especially for kids, especially for teenagers,
Yeah.
that they could access and kind of practice safe sex
Yeah.
practices. And same is the case for example, illicit drugs. Because it's prohibited, that's the reason why there's not much research done on them,
Yeah.
and that's the reason why there is a sort of a drug epidemic
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
USA as well. So
Yeah.
I think it can be sort of compared
Absolutely.
to the same thing.
Absolutely. Those two
Right.
fields are very comparable.
Right. Also, it's going to be a bit of a personal question. If you, how does your friends, colleague, family think about you choosing this career path? Are they very open to it? Do they embrace it with uh, open arms, or are they a bit hesitant, or how did you deal with that?
Yeah. No, actually, I think I'm super lucky when it comes to people that surround me. Everybody's super supportive. Like and I mean everybody. Like even my mom and my dad, they're like, "You go, girl. Like you're doing great. Like really." And the same thing goes for my friends. So they're happy to have me because I'm still their like go-to person when it comes to those topics. And super supportive. Yeah, but I am extremely lucky. I was also like when I was going into this, I was like, "Oh, I don't know. Like, is my family gonna be okay with that? Like, I have no idea."
Right.
But turned out my family was super fine with that. Like, I think this is exactly the non-sex. Like, it wasn't exactly sex positive family, but
Right.
you see, there was no shame. Like when I decided to go into this topic, they were like, "If you feel like it makes you happy, do it."
This is
So
good,
yeah.
actually. And really, by doing all these things, you are obviously creating a very positive sexual externality about
Yeah.
these things. Because, well, let's say if you work on a desk job and you're doing something on a software in a company, well, you are doing particularly a very productive thing for that company itself, but there is not much positive externality coming out of it.
Yeah.
But let's say you are doing sex education thing. Not only it gives you, it puts food on your table. However, it educates people in the long run. It kind of creates a betterment in their life.
Yeah.
You can tell a person one thing, they can start doing this practice, and you can see that for next 60 years they're following those protocols, and their life is much better. So
Yeah. No.
does that
Absolutely.
does that make you feel happy that
Oh.
you kind of changed
Yeah. No.
life in a very positive
Absolutely.
way?
Absolutely, of course. I think this is one of the reasons why I'm doing this because I'm a big believer. I mean, this is the thing. This is what I also want to like people to understand that when we talk about sex education or we talk about like sex coaching or whatever, it is never just about sex. Never. Like I literally had client sessions where in like 50 minutes of the session we never say word sex,
Wow.
and it's like it's almost weird. A person comes to a sex coach and we talk about their relationship, their communication with a partner, their relationship with their own body, like and their levels of stress and stuff like this, because it's everything is so connected. So for me, this is like it's like it's difficult to say what comes first, because it's like by improving your your sex life, you're improving your life in general, and by improving your life in general, you improve your sex life, and it's just like
It's
this.
just this loop.
It's exactly. It's just this beautiful loop of like of well-being, really. Like, and it's very much interconnected. Like you're not gonna have like a very good sex life if like something else is like majorly broken in your life. Most likely, it's gonna affect each other. Like this is normal. There's this coaching tool that I really love. I really use that coaching tool a lot in my personal life. It's called the Wheel of Life, and I don't know if you're familiar with that tool, but it's basically if you want to like make a pause and reflect on where you are with your life right now, you draw the circle and you divide it into a few parts. And in a standard Wheel of Life, there is like, of course, family, career, friends, travel, money, health, and like the I think 8 in general. You can adjust them to your own preferences, but more or
Yes.
less this is it. And every time I look at the tool, I'm like, where is sex?
Exactly. It's very much ignored thing. I've
Yeah.
even in my family meetings, or even when we are talking about in a friend group or something. Yep, there is spirituality. Yes, there's. Are you exercising well? Are you eating well? Are you sleeping well? Are you taking your vitamins
Yeah.
well? But when it comes to sex, well, it's just somewhere there. Who everyone wants to talk about it,
Yeah.
but nobody actually does.
Yeah.
But now we are unfolding that it's equally as important part of a well-being in having a
Yeah.
well-balanced life if you want to
Exactly.
have a successful a happy life. Yeah, in my opinion, I think a happy life is a balanced life.
Yeah.
If you have a car with 4 wheels and one wheel is missing, you cannot expect the car to run smoothly, although you might take it to
Or
places
to
where it's
run at
going to
all.
be exactly
Yeah.
it could just break down.
Yeah.
However, coming back to the question about how would you describe your work to someone you just met at a cocktail party,
Right.
um, well, let's say we just met at a cocktail party. The two are cocktails, and so what exactly do you do when you are doing these online therapy sessions, online coachings? How do you start? Like, just run me through your session in
Yeah,
a brief way.
yeah, of
Yes.
course. I mean, first of all, I will just like briefly say that definitely we're not calling ourselves therapists, so sex coaching is not therapy. So, and this is, I think, the very important thing to understand, because therapy is like looking a lot at what happened in the past, and sort of like a lot of different therapy paths are like they're working with subconscious and like all of that stuff. Coaching is different. Life coaching, sex coaching, it's different from that perspective, because we're looking at where the person is right now and where the person wants to be,
Right.
and we're building the plan of bringing that person from A to B. B being the place where the person wants to be.
Yes.
And
anecdote there,
basically,
yeah.
so this is more or less exactly how the coaching starts. Like we start with sometimes if it's a person not familiar with coaching at all, or if it's a person who I don't know either, like we start with a first like 15 minutes discovery call where we just like sort of talk briefly, only we touch on the concern that person comes with, and it's also a
Right.
chance for me to like sort of let this person know about the how the process is going to go.
Yes.
So this is the beginning of the process. Then there is the first session where we talk more about the concern specifically in more details, and we see and we build that action plan together. And it's also very important. Like this is what I tell also people who I work with, that I am their co-pilot basically. I'm there to support them in their journey, because in the end of the day, it's always up to that person to make the changes. I can be there, I can be as supportive as possible, but it's always up to them in the end of the day. So I am that co-pilot sitting next to them while they're going through that plan that we built together
Right.
to arrive to the point where they want to be. And of course, the plan may change
Right.
throughout the process, and of course, the point B may change throughout the process as well. This is absolutely normal. The most important is that that person stays like fulfilled, and like they
Exactly.
approaches
Exactly.
that
I mean, you can
point.
always take the horse to the pond, but you can never make them drink the water.
Yeah,
Right. So
exactly.
you are the co-pilot. You will always guide them about this is what you have to do. But ultimately, it comes down to the person
Yeah,
whether they want to do it, and they want to do it in the plan that you have planned for them.
Yeah, exactly.
Execution is on the person.
yeah,
Right. So, as you also mentioned that you practice mindfulness in order
Yeah.
to make people have better sexual
Yeah.
experiences. So I would like to know, as an absolute newbie, what does mindfulness even mean? Because
Yeah.
I have heard about mindfulness in the meditation thing, and I also read a book called The Power of Now. Like, for example, the future, it's in our head.
Yeah.
Like, there's a hypothetical concept about there is some future, we are going to do this. We all have this idea. And there's past, these are basically our memories. This is
Yeah.
the recollection of all the actions that we did in the past. So technically, and in the terms of Buddha, all we have is right now, what we are experiencing, this
Right.
present moment, the sense of balance, the sense of air, and everything. So, is this the mindfulness that you are talking about, or is mindfulness, when it comes to sexual experiences, is just a bit different from it?
No, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Actually, it's just like we use a lot of like I like suggesting to my clients and like during the group experiences as well, to use the tools that mindfulness has, because there are so many beautiful tools over there that can be literally just like translated to the sexuality, and sometimes they don't even need the translation. You can really do some like mindfulness practice that has nothing to do with sex, and eventually it's going to have an effect on your sex life as well.
Right.
Because mindfulness is a lot of it is exactly like you described, is about noticing what is happening here and now. And if you think about it, like when it comes to sexual experience, if you're not in the moment, if you're not like actually paying attention to what's happening in your body and like in your mind, in your emotions, like in your energy. Some people also like pay attention to the spiritual realm of it, but if you're not paying attention to this, you're not even in the experience. You know,
Right.
you deprive yourself of a chance to even have any kind of pleasure. You know, and it's not even about whether whether your partner is actually doing something that you like or not. It's literally about noticing. Yeah, and also like the mindfulness, what it brings, like the very important aspect of it that is used in sexuality is the fact, exactly like you said, that it's like we don't think about the future, as in like, because when we think about organs, for example, people are like, okay, I gotta make him or her or them
Exactly.
come. Like this is my goal. I came here to experience an orgasm or to give an orgasm. Like that's it. So they don't spend time looking at what's happening in between. They're like,
Yes.
okay, I got an orgasm. I'm happy for like 5 seconds. Done.
Exactly.
Instead, they had the whole time of like the whole process, the whole sexual activity where they could have experience and unfolded so much pleasure in it. So this is exactly what mindfulness teaches, sort of to concentrate on the process rather than focus on the goal and like what's happening in the future.
Right, Julia. It reminds me of a quote. I don't really remember the name of this writer, but he says that everything is about sex except sex.
Oh, this is a beautiful way to put it. Yes, I
Yes,
actually kind of agree.
whenever we are not in the activity of having sex,
Yeah.
we are chasing it, and here's a little bit of a neurochemistry related to it. Whenever we are chasing sex, like we are pursuing some things to set up a date, get ready for it, get ready for the bedroom or whatever,
Right.
our brain literally releases the same amount of dopamine as we are actually having sex.
Yeah.
So the process of pursuing sex and process of having sex has the same amount of dopamine being released. But however, whenever, as you said, that whenever we're in the process of sex, some people just want to arrive to a conclusion about providing orgasm. So literally, sex is not about reaching orgasm. Sex is about this
No.
activity of experiencing the person, the body, the feeling, whatever you're feeling inside. So
Yeah.
that's what mindfulness is. So
Yeah.
how can we enhance the process of engaging in any sexual activity through mindfulness? Like, what are some of the basic tips, or some particular actions, or brain exercises that we could do,
Yeah.
or a normal person like an audience can do to at least make that sexual experience? I'm not going to say that it's going to be the best experience of your life when we're
Yeah.
just starting,
Right.
but what are the set of some protocols that we can just slowly start to engage in our sex life to just make it better? What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I mean, lots of actually like exercises started pouring into my mind. I'm like, oh, you can do this and you can do that, and you
Right,
can do this,
right,
because
yeah.
there's so many of them, of course, that you can do. But I think the most important thing is just in general, sort of try to be more mindful. For example, like very simple thing, while you're eating.
Yes.
Just notice what you're eating. Just like really, just like sit down, breathe a few times, look at your food, and be like, okay, I noticed that my food is of this and that color. It's of this and this texture. Interesting. If you're able, like this is an exercise that is very often done with an orange. I don't know why. I don't understand, because I'm not that big fan of oranges, I guess.
There's something about peeling an
I
orange.
probably
that's
yes.
sort
I
of
mean, I like
erotic.
doing it with cherries, or for that matter, with
Okay.
with a cup of tea. It's also possible. So you basically you hold that cup, for example, or like that orange, whatever, and you start with like you're you are trying to engage your different senses. So you're like first like, you're looking at it, you're smelling it, you're touching it, like you're tasting it, like you're listening to it as well if it's making any sounds and stuff like this. And it's a very simple exercise that like later on during your sexual activity you can also start noticing things like, oh, actually this is that texture, actually this is that smell, like actually like I'm feeling this and that. So this is very important. I mean, I'm describing it super briefly. Of course, it's a little bit more complex than that.
Right.
Although not much, in all fairness, that is a fairly simple exercise, I would say. Although it sounds simple, but then if you're a busy person running around all the time, sit down and like dedicate 5-10 minutes to an orange can be really tricky.
Exactly. I totally get that. There was a short on YouTube that I was watching that the guy was asking, is there something more scary than sitting with your own thoughts? And everybody was like, no, there's nothing more scarier than sitting with your own thoughts.
Yeah.
And there was a guy who said that, yes, rapists, bears, and people with artillery weapons. That's
Right, right.
Technically, it does make sense, but
But it does prove the point that it can be quite
yes,
difficult.
it could
Yes.
be it's simple, but it's not easy,
Yeah.
especially in this
Right.
world, technologically evolving world where we have everything but time. We are just bombarded with so much information that sitting down for even for 5 minutes. That's the reason why meditation is one of the hardest activity
Yeah.
to do. You could just
Right.
pick up wood logs and put them somewhere, although it's pretty hard, but just sit with yourself for like 5 minutes
Yeah.
and see how many thoughts will just cross your mind. And same thing Yulia is telling about, just look at the orange, hear the sounds of it peeling, smell it. And same thing, you can, if you can involve it in your sexual behaviors, for feeling your partner and doing all these things, obviously these things are going to take time.
Yeah, of
You're
course.
not going to be,
This is
but
natural.
if you just involve in it, it's a super long curve. If you
Yeah.
start involving these, within maybe 5 years you're going to have the best sexual life
Right.
possible.
I think it's also a very good point you're touching on when it comes to how mindfulness is translated to sexuality as well. It's actually acceptance, because that's what mindfulness teaches a lot as well. It's just accepting things the way they are. And exactly throughout this process of like, if you're dedicating, you're like, okay, I am gonna change my sex life for better. Yes, brilliant. Just know that it's gonna take time, and it's like a change process is never like a straightforward like slope. It's always like it comes in waves. It's like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and the process is just very different, and it's different for everybody. Everybody works in their own speed, and this is very important to like sort of have this acceptance of your own speed, have acceptance of how things are right now, because this is also like a tricky thing, that the moment you actually truly accept the things the way things are right now, they actually have a chance to change.
Right.
It's just
Exactly,
how life
yes.
goes. I
You're right,
guess.
you're right. In order to change something, you really need to first accept it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you will never accept, let's say if you have a horrible sense of dressing, right? And you want to change it, but you never accept that you dress horribly. So what are the chances that you are even
Yeah.
going to, you haven't even acknowledged it.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing, is like, and you know, Julia, that's the first thing, that people have a really hard time to accept accept that they have to change something, because change in itself is terrifying.
Yes.
People do
absolutely.
not like change. People try to
No.
question it, then they try to resist it. I think there are some stages of it. First acceptance, then there is resistance. I'm not, please don't quote me on that. But there are a couple of things that if you do not accept it, that there's not going to be a change, and people are
Yeah.
absolutely terrified of change, especially when it comes to matter like sexuality and all that. People, first of all, they're too shy, they're too tabooed and all that kind of. But I think there's a dire need for us all to talk about such a huge area of our lives, because
Yeah.
this is not something new. Sex
No.
is
It's been around
It's-
for a moment now.
it's been there for some time now, since we
Right.
were born. And you know, it's 2024 and still
Yeah.
people, especially the younger generation, we need to be more educated, more open about talking these things, because ultimately it will lead to us all having better lives. Okay, what our previous generations did, it's on them, but we are the future, and people like Yulia, they're making our lives much more pleasurable and much more educated. Anyhow, well, let's jump on to the next question. And this is the statistic that I read in Japan. I was watching other podcasts as well, that a lot of people from the age of until the age of 30 to 35, they haven't had sex until now. Almost 30 to 40 percentage of Japanese people, they haven't had sex. And my question is, in this age of scrolling, in this age of we are ever busy, it's an overload of information. There's no lack of entertainment sources. You could just rather play video games and you could just not have sex. Let's go back 40 years ago. People used to go to work. Maybe they would come home, open a beer, watch a television, or maybe not.
Right.
There was no television, and go back to sex. So, do you think people 40 years ago was having a lot more sex than they are having today? And if not, what are the potential causes, and what do you think it's like a sex recession, or is it something that we could change, and do you think it should be changed, or the world is okay?
Interesting. I mean, first of all, I definitely, we touched on Japan a little bit. I definitely, like, I can't speak for that part of the world just because the psychology there is so different. That would be really difficult for me to, like, even refer to it
Right.
properly. So I wouldn't be able to speak about it that much. But I think in general, when it comes to decline in sexuality, I mean, it sort of makes sense. I think I would be just sort of, okay, this is just my opinion. I can't say that I did like a proper research, but definitely the presence of social media and people not being able to connect with each other as much as they used to. Or they just simply like lack the basic skills. Like they don't know, they're connecting online so much that when it comes to the real world, like it's like sort of that connection is not that easy to build anymore. Like, not to mention also all the distractions that are over there. Like, there's so many other things that we can do.
Right.
Like, why do that? And yes, I mean, it's I'm really curious how it's gonna how it's gonna go, because one also important thing is that I think like sort of when sex is becoming, it's still a taboo and it still like causes a lot of shame, unfortunately. I don't think it should be like that, but unfortunately this is the reality. But it is way less than it used to be.
Right.
So right now, like, I think because it also like this thing, because it became so accessible, people are like, well, actually, maybe it's not that interesting anymore, I guess. But you know what I mean. So
I
like,
get it.
there's
I get it.
some
Yeah.
excitement about the fact that, oh, this is forbidden. This is a forbidden
Yes.
fruit. So I'm gonna
Yes.
go and like get it. Although again, it's a speculation. I really don't know. Like, in all honesty, that would be really difficult for me to say for sure. But these are the first thoughts that come to my mind when it comes to decline in sexual activity.
Yes, definitely. I mean, if we just go jump onto the statistic, yes, there is definitely a decline on tech. I think I heard it quite a lot, and according to my opinion, obviously, you know better about this, but because of the availability of all these resources that we can engage our attention to the
Yeah.
other side, definitely actual physical sex is going down, and also people are having more anxiety about meeting face to face now.
Yeah.
Let's put aside the Tinder dates and Hinge dates.
Yeah.
There's a huge methodology about how to date, and the
Yeah.
perspective has dynamic has literally changed about how people used to date. And now let's Julia, let's go 10 years ago. If a person had Tinder, for
Right.
example, and you usually go, oh, you have Tinder, I mean, you must be a single pathetic fuck, right? And right now people have Tinder and I'm like, oh, you're on Tinder, you're on Tinder. It's
Yeah.
become it's like a
normalized.
really really
Normalized, yeah.
normal thing. And what I think is going to grow in the future generations as well. And not that there is something wrong with it, but do you fundamentally find that is it going to cause some sort of distortion in dating market when it
Yeah.
comes to men and women and men? There's also a really alarming statistic that maybe you might
Yeah.
have not known about, that 20% of the men, 20% of the people on Tinder are women. 80% of them are men. And in those 80%, only 5% of the men, they are getting 15% of the women, and the last 5% of the women are getting access to those 75% of the men. So clearly there is a huge distortion. I
Yeah.
will mention the links of the reference where I got this knowledge from, because I'm not really pulling it out of my head. So this is what's going on,
Right.
And what are your opinion on this?
No, I mean, I think I mean, like anything, you can really you can bring to the table AI right now and ask the same question, and I think it's a gift and a burden. Like really, it can
Yes.
go either way. It really depends how you use it. In the end of the day, I think what like Tinder and Hinge and whatever other dating app, what they did is they created this illusion, and I would like really to emphasize the word illusion over here of choice.
Yes.
So like sort of, oh, like I can be with this one, or I can be with that one, or this partner is interesting, maybe this one is really cool. So like people are more or less prone to settle down. They're more prone actually to be like, oh, let me try everything out there before,
Right,
like, so
right,
that there
right.
is so much choice in terms of partners. So yeah, that on its own creates this sort of disbalance, in my opinion. So people are less willing to, for example, settle down. Like there's definitely, when it comes to just like, if we're talking about the casual thing, maybe like that's where it's like thriving a little bit more. Although I don't have any data to back this up, but it just seems like just by the way the technology is built, like this is where it was thrive more. But when it comes to settling down, like, and really committing, like, it's really difficult to do when you know there's so much choice out there.
Exactly,
Before that, the
exactly.
choice was there all along. Like this is the thing, and I
Right.
mean choice. Like this is the
Yes.
thing.
This
It
illusion
was
of
this
choice
illusion.
more.
It was there all along. It's just it was never put so like up into our noses that okay, actually, you know what? I can be on like 3 dates per day.
Exactly.
Like
Yeah.
whatever. I don't care. Next one.
Especially it's really harmful for young couples, more so women than men, because they have this illusion that they're getting so much attention from Instagram, from Tinder, and they have this analysis paralysis. Let me tell you an experiment, Julia. There was this supermarket, and there was like three pieces of gems, mango, let's say coconut. I'm not sure if there is coconut gem, but let's say coconut, and let's say pineapple. So
Right.
mango, coconut, pineapple, and people were they've put this on the top shelf, and people didn't really have a hard time choosing which one they want. Either I want mango or coconut or pineapple juice. So they just picked one and they went. And the next day they just changed it to 12 different types of jam, kiwi, banana, and da da da.
Mm-hmm.
There were 12, and people the sales dropped by 80%
Mm.
because there were too many choices.
Right.
Not that people didn't stop eating jam or something. They were
Yeah.
like confused between should I choose this or choose this or choose this. And same thing is happening with this current dating style, that people
Right.
have this illusion that you have so many choices that you get right swipe. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter even if you're matching, if you're getting matches or you're not getting matches, you're getting replies, and
Yeah.
there's a whole story behind it. But hey, at least we human beings, we like this choice,
Yeah.
and this is what cripples us.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing about it. And how my next topic about talking within the sexual realm would be this, as you mentioned, is the conduction of sexually transmitting infections through,
Right.
let's take casual sex first,
Right.
because uh, I don't think that casual sex was not a thing back then. Everybody was having it, but maybe
Yeah.
not so openly. But right now, because you have this availability of these dating apps, and access to a partner on a Saturday night when you're drunk, you're just like,
Yeah.
it's too available, right? Do you think that there's a big hand of these casual dating methods in the spreading of these sexually transmitted diseases or infections? First of all, please differentiate between what's a sexually transmitted infection and what's a sexually transmitted disease, and how dangerous they
Mm-hmm.
could be with perspective of these casual dating and stuff like that.
Right. I mean, actually, we just call them STIs these days, and like that's
Yes.
it. This is the one name that is being used. So like we're like leaving the sexual transmitted diseases and just sticking to STIs as the term. And second of all, like again, I don't know any data myself to say for sure if it like increased the casual dating actually increased and everything, but just logically, if you think about it, there is a chance that this could be happening, especially that it's like, it's a bit disbalanced because the access to casual sex became like much wider, but
Yes.
access to sex education did not, or like
Yes.
it did, but not as much. So
Yes.
if everyone like got a leaflet before their casual
Right.
sex
Right.
was
Right.
like there, how can you protect? I should totally do this. This is such a great business idea. But anyway, so like a leaflet how you actually should like behave and protect yourself, protect your partner and everything. Then maybe like it would be not that disbalanced. But yes, indeed, I think that might play a role in this. And again, and I think lack of sex education plays a huge role in here, because like if there was proper education, then there we wouldn't be as worried about this part as we should be, because indeed like the protection is very much necessary. And the thing is that there are like not even that many like tools that are able to protect you. Like I mean, where I'm talking about, like there are condoms, like definitely, like there are preps that are like that people can take for to like minimize the spread of HIV, for example.
Right.
But still, there are actually not that many tools that people can use, and not a single one that is 100% like going to protect you 100%. Unfortunately, I mean, we have very high, like I don't remember what exactly, but it's like 90 something for condom, like 98 even, if I remember correctly, for condoms, like in terms of protecting. So that's great. That's definitely a very good
Yeah.
rate, and like and certainly people in involving casual sex or like any sex, really, if they wanna protect themselves, that's the way to go. But even that is not 100%. So just also one thing that is kind of protective, but maybe not that popular, unfortunately, is a regular STI testing. And talking to the partner about this, and sort of not having the stigma of like, oh my god, I have this and I'm afraid to tell this,
Yeah.
like talk about this and stuff. But actually, like, okay, I'm doing the STI test regularly, like, and I am able to talk about this. Like, I came across this infection or that infection. Doesn't mean that I'm not supposed to have sex. It just means that I need to inform my partner, and we need to be both like protective of our bodies. Right now, it's really cool. There's this whole market of like the STI test that you can do at home. So like you don't even need to go anywhere. You just order the kit, you sort of submit the samples, and you send the kit to the lab, and you have the responses. And like within days, there is this definitely German startup called Rami. Like they're doing this thing.
Rami. Like I will definitely link.
Not in Poland though, and this is
It's
important.
in
Unfortunately,
Germany. So
not
guys,
not
if
in
you're in
Poland.
Germany, if you're going to Berlin for a club,
Yes,
just what's the name of this?
Rami. That's the name of a startup.
Rami. Okay. Hit up Rami if you want to be safe and not sorry.
In Germany.
Anyways, yes. So talking about the statistic, 1 in 5 people in USA have have an active sexually transmitted infection at a given
Right.
time, and over 1 million people living with HIV in the United States.
Right.
20% of them are unaware of this infection. So, again, there are a lot of sexually transmitted diseases. For example, HPV,
Right.
HIV, human immunovirus, AIDS, anti-immunodeficiency syndrome. What it does, it just lowers down your immunity, and it can also kill you even if you have a common cold or something like that. Gonorrhea, chlamydia, and all those things. So
Syphilis,
there are
yeah.
so many of them, some of which, good news, are curable, but
Yeah.
some of them are not. Other alarming statistic about it is some of those infections, you can be a carrier, but you can still spread the disease when you are yourself symptomless. So, Yulia, again, there's no definite answer about this, but you, also there are some diseases that you just cannot get tested for.
Yeah.
Like, you can have it, you can go for the test, and the doctor said that we just don't know. And there is literally possibly no way that you can know, either you have it or you don't. So should we just leave it on God? That like
I think when it comes to sex, no. I mean, unless you're into tantra and like that, from that perspective, like the divine energy can carry you there. But even there, I think it's important to sort of protect yourself on the first place. And I think it's exactly what we just talked about, like sex education, like really being open about it, doing the regular testing, sort of taking this whole topic out of this taboo realm, and like being like, okay, this is just like any other disease. You're not ashamed to say, hey, I have a cold. Why should you be ashamed to say, hey, I have HPV? It's like literally like
Yeah.
it's just another disease. It's just like, because it's in such a sensitive and delicate area, like people are sort of becoming more uncomfortable talking about this. But in general, like there's absolutely no need, and like that would be great if this topic got normalized and people could actually talk about this. This alone would already prevent, and this alone would definitely help people. To just feel safe and be safer, actually.
Right, right. So I also have a Tinder business idea. If Tinder, if you ever come across this, maybe you should have an option of people uploading their certificate of getting checked or something, just to make the place better, because
Some
Tinder.
dating apps have that.
Some dating have
Yeah,
them.
I mean,
That's
no,
good.
they don't have I think, a way to upload the certificate, but they have a way to say, like, if you're, like, for example,
Yes.
HIV positive or HIV negative, like, there, that is definitely there. I don't know about, like, the other STIs, but this one specifically, you can say,
Right.
grinder, I think that's the name. Yeah, that definitely has that.
hmm especially HIV is more prevalent in the LGBTQ community, according to a statistic.
Yeah.
Uh, However, again, there are some dating apps where you can just see if there is HIV positive, HIV negative. Another big stigma about HIV is you can transmit HIV from kissing. Is that
Yeah.
true?
Actually, it's more complex than that. I don't think it's like, first of all, there are different stages of the disease. Second of all, it's like, is it an HIV that has been discovered and taken care of or not?
hmm
And third of all, I don't think it's that simple. Like, I am not a doctor, so, like, I cannot really tell you for sure, but certainly, like, it's not that simple. Like, it's not
Right.
that you cannot kiss or touch or hug a person who has an HIV or you will get infected immediately. This is definitely not like that. It's like, it's way more complex than that. And from what I understand, if you take care of this, if you take pills, and if you really, like, take care of your health in general, as a person who has HIV, like, you're becoming almost like non-trans. I don't know what's the correct word. Like, you minimize the risk of
Non-transmittable.
transmitting it. Yeah.
Right. These days, especially, I think there is a lot more awareness about HIV than it used to be 10 years
Yeah.
ago. Because let's say 10 years ago, if you had HIV and you were in your workplace, people used to avoid you. It was rather bad.
Yeah.
And I also remember an alarming incident that people used to go to cinema halls, and whenever they used to sit down, and there was like a needle
Yeah.
that just could went into their thigh,
Yeah.
and when they open it, and there was this notification or slip, welcome to HIV family,
Mm-hmm.
which was absolutely horrible because
Yeah.
not every person does that, but there are some, for the lack of the better word, you know what type of people I'm talking, assholes, right?
Right.
And so HIV can be only transmitted through the transmission of blood, right? That's the way HIV not from saliva, not from intercourse, not from everything. If you have the blood of an infected person into your bloodstream, that's the only way that HIV can get transferred. Although one good thing about HIV is if you detect it early on, you can be on medicine all the time, and you can have sometimes there is also a statistic, Julia, that HIV people on medicine live longer than the people with non-HIV.
There
There
you
are two
go.
reasons for that.
There
One,
you go.
one because they are getting tested more often than the non-HIV
Yeah.
people, and they have to be extra careful about their immunity, which makes them live longer. Sarcastic, but true nonetheless. All right, that's about talking of sexually transmitted diseases and infection. Just one last question about it. If someone has HPV or herpes or something, uh, should they be afraid? Should they be tensed for their life that they cannot kiss anyone? Because I think herpes is transmitted through kissing, and there is also a statistic that 75% of people in USA, or 80 to 85% people in their lifetime, will get HPV. So
Yeah.
these cold sores and everything.
Yeah.
Yes, so it's non-avoidable. If you ever try to kiss anyone except your dog, you're probably gonna get it. So you don't need to you didn't need to worry about about it too much. What are your
Right.
opinion about that?
But what was the question? Should people be worried?
Yeah, I mean, if they have something like this, should they
Yeah, I
always be
mean,
living in fear or?
no, I don't think so. I really don't think so. First of all, I mean, definitely there are some types of HPV that can lead to cancer. I mean, I know about this just because of my own experience as well. So I was, like, literally one step away
Mhm.
from actually getting cancer from an HPV. So, like, that's why also regular testing and, like, really taking care of your health is important in all of that,
Right.
regardless whether you have an HPV or you don't, really. But yeah, no, other than that, from, like, to the best of my knowledge, these are not, like, a lot of it is not life threatening. But again, there are some certain types of HPV that can be cancerous,
Yes.
but also, like, even that with a strong immune system will never actually translate into anything. And as long as you have good health in general, like that you should be fine in general. So there's not like it's not nearly as scary as it seems. Although again, still taking care of yourself, taking care of your immune system, taking care of this specifically, like it's very important.
Right. Talking about these diseases, let me tell you a very chilling statistic. I was watching a Neil deGrasse Tyson podcast, and he was saying that one of the most significant event in human history was when Napoleon went to America. When he was it Napoleon or Columbus? Christopher Columbus went to America in 14th century. So before 14th century there was no syphilis in Europe especially. So this was one of the most significant events, because this was the time after the ice age. After 10,000 years, a person from this continent went to the other continent, and when he came back from those Indian people, I'm not talking about Asian Indian people, but Native American Indian people, and when he came back, that was the first registered case of syphilis. uh, Now, the people in Native America, they got used to this disease or whatever, but that was the first time that it was introduced here. Fortunately, the good thing is syphilis is curable.
Yep.
You know, it is treatable. Unlike HIV, you can minimize the effects, but you can never cure it. Hopefully, in the future, as the medical technology is advancing, we will be able to take care of it, like as cancer. So, if you do have any diseases, first of all, get regular checking.
Yep.
It doesn't take much. Get your medical insurance covered. There is no shame in telling your partner if you have it or you don't. If your partner doesn't accept you for having all these kind of things, then maybe you need to find a new partner, or a new doctor who will diagnose that you're not positive. So it could be
Right.
could-
That's a great piece of advice right there.
it could be any of them. Anyways, leave the topic of diseases behind now. Let's go to the relationship parts of this. Usually in a relationship, after about 2 years, sex starts to feel a bit dull, according
Yep.
to a study. And how do you keep having great sex? It's a really important question,
Yeah.
especially for you, yeah.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's a very individual thing, really. I mean, first of all, not for everybody sex declines. I know plenty of cases when people actually start having better sex after years of relationship. So it's not definitely. I see how this could be the case as well, but just important to say that it doesn't need to be like that. So that's one. Two, I think the most important thing in all of that is having the right expectations. Like, because it's not even about doing something. It's not about, involving in some new practice or going to a sex club or like whatever. Like, none of that. It's like, first things first, like, right expectations. Because most likely, both you and your partner in this, like, 2 or 3 years of relationship, you both changed. Like, there's no way that you didn't, like, because we're evolving, like, all the time as, like, just as creatures, as human beings. Like, we're evolving all the time. Our lives are changing. Circumstances that we're in are changing. So if we are sitting in the expectation that, okay, my sex life, like, was like this at the beginning of a relationship, or like was like this when I was 20, and now I'm like 30, 40, for example, or like, or it's after a few years of relationship and it's still
Right.
the same. Like, is anything
Right.
still the same? Like, this is a very important
Right,
thing,
right.
to have the
You-
correct expectation
exactly.
and sort of holistically look at this thing. Like, not look at this like, okay, my sex life is this and that, but rather like, what is happening with my relationship in general? Like, is my relationship the same? It's not, probably. What changed? Like, am I like, maybe there's some unresolved conflicts, like, or some things that we haven't talked about, and of course the sex life is also going to decline. This is absolutely natural. Maybe you just both are super busy, and then of course your sex life is going to decline. This is so natural. Like, you don't have time to have sex. How, like, naturally you're not going to have sex unless you make the time for it. And then there
Right.
comes the whole thing where people don't like scheduled sex because it's boring, like, it's not that much fun, which is total bullshit. Like, it's a really good thing to do. But I understand where at least the thoughts about the fact that it's boring can be coming from. So there's the whole thing. Definitely expectations, definitely looking at the relationship, definitely looking at yourself, like at your, at your body. Do you even want sex right now? Are you in a point of your life where you want the sex? Maybe you both don't want sex, and that's okay. And that's totally fine. Like, right now your relationship is going through the stage where you both don't feel so sexual with each other. That also can be okay. I mean, unless of course it bothers you and like really brings a distress. But truth be told, a lot of distress is coming from the wrong expectation, not from the actual problem.
A beautiful quote that I heard recently, I think it was from Mike Truston. It said that untold expectations are long-term resentments.
There you go.
And only a fool would keep doing the same things and expect a different result.
Yeah.
So, two things here. You need to communicate your expectations.
Yeah.
Also, in a very comfortable setting, you cannot just expect your
Yeah.
like, express your expectation at the time when a person is stressed from work and all that. You need to
Yeah.
find a safe place. Maybe somewhere where both of you are relaxed and everything.
Yeah.
And you need some sort of novelty.
Yeah.
Right? People, as human beings, we crave novelty.
Mm-hmm.
If it gets repetitive, it doesn't matter if you are a man or a woman. We all love new things.
Yeah.
That's the reason why we are addicted to social media. That's the reason we are addicted to traveling, because it gives us new experiences.
Mm-hmm.
It makes us feel a certain way. In the same case, it goes with sex. You need to try new things, like
Mm-hmm.
new things on the safe side, not the new things like that. That's quite dangerous. Let's have sex on the cliff of the
Although, why
90-story
not?
building. Yeah,
If
yeah. If
that's
you're
something
into
bigger
it, just
into it.
get strapped and just be
Yes,
safe.
why not? As long as you're safe. I will stop you here for a second, just because I mean, yes, we definitely crave novelty, and yes, definitely there is that's something that excites us, is when it comes to sex specifically. But this is also the thing. Like, people are like, are you craving novelty because somebody told you that you should be craving novelty, or like people, you think that people do that, or are you actually craving novelty and you're not happy with your current like partner, or like the way things are, like there are definitely, like, I think multiple layers. So this novelty is definitely great, but like sort of this race towards it all the time, like this can make the whole thing also, this again, we're circling back to the expectations. If you're really expecting your sex to be like new, different, all the time changing, like every time great, whatever new thing you try you love it, like you're setting yourself up for a failure, really. But if you're
Right.
like sort of, again, coming back to mindfulness, accept things the way they are and don't expect them to be like like much different, then you have a chance actually to like even change things and adjust. But and again, you're absolutely right saying that it's novelty is important, and definitely many people like crave that and want that, but it's only like a small piece of a puzzle, I think, in all of that.
Right, right. So I think yes. About novelty, I was saying that people not only crave novelty, they just it's a really basic human need. Like people tend to get bored really quick, really fast. That's the reason why we have really short attention span. In my previous podcast, I was talking with Mr. Tomasz Twardowski, and we were talking about news channels. That in this modern day and age of scrolling,
Yeah.
has the attention span of human beings became shorter, and he said they were always short, which I had a little bit of disagreement about, because he was a TV news producer and we were watching these television, and he was saying it takes a little bit of a longer time to watch a TV rather than to scroll that.
Interesting.
Now, when it comes to novelty, I was telling about novelty in having sex with the same partner at different places, different positions, with consent and everything. Although it can be a double-edged sword. If you are craving novelty, then you will jump onto the side of infidelity, which will be harmful for your monogamous relationship, and you will never create a long-term, lasting relationship with the person that you are actually in love with.
Right.
So, would you agree on the fact that you should be trying new things sexually with the same person, not but not seeking novelty with a different person, because that's clearly a road to different sexually transmitted infections, dissatisfaction,
Okay.
and a lot of waste of money and effort, and a lot of disastrous thing. Every new person is a new mystery. It's a
Yeah.
new book, right?
Right.
So in that case, I totally agree with you that seeking novelty with different sexual partners. Now, we are not going to be the moral judges of what you do. You do you, but here's the thing: is like with new partners, not so much. With the same partner, you should communicate, take consent, and maybe try new things to spice up your
Yeah.
sexual life.
Yeah, I just want to underline that, like, definitely, I don't want to create an association that casual sex means STIs and like bad things. For sure not. Like, I like really like my stance here is like, do whatever you do as long as like you're safe and the person you're engaging with that in that experience is also safe. Like,
Right.
it really can be extreme BDSM practices. I don't care as long as you both agree
Exactly.
to that, and you're doing it in a safe way for like for each other in a safe place, and all of that. So like that's one thing. And in general, when it comes to like it's also the same thing here. Like, if you're craving novelty so much and you're like at the same time you're in a monogamous relationship, maybe that's a call for you to open your relationship. who knows? Like, I mean, this is becoming a huge thing right now, actually. And there is like the whole, process of also people are working also with sex coaches, relationship coaches, therapists, and other specialists to actually help them open their relationship, because people are coming to terms often that, well, okay, we love each other. We've built this beautiful, beautiful partnership. We are sharing a home, like we're sharing a family, like we have kids together, whatever. Like we're very close. We've been close for so many years, but I really would love to explore on the side. And if the other person doesn't mind, why should I not? Like, and in the end of the day, we can still be in this beautiful union together while exploring on the side. And it can really take different shapes and forms. You can both explore on the side. You can do swinging. You can, open relationship. And maybe one of you wants to just only go on dates. Another one wants to have sex. There's like really like we're sort of what is happening right now very often, like all the scripts that we knew of how things should be, and people like should or shouldn't, have this amount of sex, or like the novelty or not novelty, like it's all just being cancelled, like really cancel culture and all of that, like just like non-existent. And we're trying to rewrite now of what is actually true to ourselves. What is it that I want, not what society expects me to do? What is it that I want to do? How my relationship should look like? How much sex should I have? Like, do I want to like have casual sex, or do I want to have a committed partner? So yeah, that things are changing.
Right, exactly. I mean, we can never tell what a person wants to do in their life. Everyone is free. This is a very modern day and age, especially after postmodernism. If people wanna swing, if people wanna stay in a relationship, it's completely up to them. As a sex education coach, your duty is to tell them to do it safely
Yeah,
and soundly.
consensually. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Consensually, safely, and on the right way. Which makes us go to the next question, Yulia.
Right.
Over 50% of the women from ages 18 to 49 reported masturbating in the previous 90 days. Well, that's just a hook of a statistic. However, a question that people ask most is masturbation healthy
Yes.
for men? And for women, because you must have also heard, I'm sorry, you must have also heard about this movement called no fap movement, where
Yeah, I know. I hate
it's
it.
like it's like people are refraining from masturbating. So what are your thoughts about masturbation? What are your thoughts about no fap? Is it healthy? Is it not healthy? Just like give your 2 cents. Yeah.
Right. Like, I mean, no fap thing, I really don't get it. Like, it's like the thing is that I never, maybe you actually can help me out here, because I never knew what was the reason. I heard about that, but I was like, why? Like, the why was always missing for me there. I'm like, just jerk off, like, really. It's like, what's the bad thing, really? I mean, and masturbation is definitely good, but both for like for any gender, really, not just men, women, like for any gender, like for anybody, masturbation can be good. I mean, obviously, if it's done excessively and it's like starting to like you do so much with that, it's starting to impact the rest of your life, then maybe there's this like a sign that you should like sort of look into this. Maybe something else is happening. Like maybe there's some compulsivity in it, and then it like some work was actually probably in this case a therapist might be recommended. But other than that, definitely yes. Like it has so many benefits. And like if I focus for a moment, just although okay, let me focus on women just for a second. Like it is traditionally considered that it's so difficult, or it's more difficult for women to experience an orgasm.
Yeah.
And it's actually not entirely true. What is lacking is the understanding of how she can experience an orgasm. Like that is what is lacking. It's not that it's more difficult because there's something wrong with her body. It's just like people don't know how to do this properly. And it starts also with a woman herself, with a vulva owner herself, where she doesn't know how she can experience an orgasm, how she can experience pleasure. And masturbation is exactly that. Masturbation is this like exploration tool and technique. Like very often also when you work with clients, this is this like in order for partner sex to change and become better, you actually start with yourself. You start with like self-exploration very often. Like you sometimes even pause any partner sex, like and you just focus on exploring your own body. So definitely it is that. That being said, masturbation sometimes it doesn't have to be only used as a like self-development tool and like exploration and stuff. Sometimes it's just like really quick release, and that's perfectly fine as long as you know about it. You know the intention that you're going into this,
Right.
no problem. But then to come back to men for a second, because I also don't want to like sort of dismiss the fact that it's so beautiful and complex for women and they should explore, and like whatever guys are just like jerking off like quickly and whatever. Not really. And this is a double stigmatized topic that I'm tapping into here right now, because there's actually so much pleasure that men are absolutely entirely unaware of, that they can experience, that they can give themselves during masturbation. Like when nobody talks about, hey, have you like tried touching the other parts of your body besides your penis? It's actually quite nice. Like you don't have to go straight for the penis. Also, you don't have to like, ejaculate immediately. You can, play it slowly, like do different things, like try different positions, like try different grips for Christ's sake. Like there are so many things. People don't talk about this. Like actually, male pleasure is just as complex as female pleasure.
Fellas takes note. Right.
Yes.
Just listen carefully what she is talking about. Try all the types of grips, and just like for more, you can always contact her. She has a plethora, she has a Pandora's box
Yes.
of taking you to the next level.
Right.
We will be back on that, but Julia, I would like to just add something on this NoFap movement, right?
Right.
So the reason why it came to my mind is because we are going to talk about porn as well. Compulsive masturbation, looking at porn, kind of redesigns your brain to be excited to look at two other people having sex, and then you get turned on by it,
Yep.
right? And then when you are being intimate with the women in the bed, then maybe you having sexual dissatisfaction through what do you call this? Erectile dysfunction,
Right.
because you are not used to seeing a woman and like, okay, there's a woman. What am I
Yeah.
supposed to do with that? I'm just used to seeing two person having sex and doing these degenerate acts of stuff like that. So,
Right.
in my opinion, yes, occasional masturbation is good, but the moment it turns compulsive, your porn literally is heroin for brain. That's what I think. Like in the previous times, I was also looking at some videos from another sex coach, and he was saying in the previous time, porn used to be a bit sensual, and like it was taking to a process. But right now, the porn is like absolutely degrading, spitting and slapping and everything. Okay, if you're into it, your judgment, your
Right.
call. But would you say that it has been on a slight degrading about how they portray women in sex, and like how they are objectified, and
Yeah.
a sense of objectivity is needed for for people to have sex, like there is this love part, and then there is the lust part, and they have to come together at all to just make this union, right?
Right.
So what are your opinion about like people masturbating on sex, on porn, like people
Yeah.
masturbating on porn, and like, is it actually healthy for brain, for men and for women as well?
I mean, definitely, this is, I think, like that's an important thing, because when I say masturbation, porn doesn't come to my mind immediately, like because not everybody masturbates to porn. Like
Yes.
this is one of the things that you can do. Not to mention that right now there is also like a whole booming industry of audio porn, mostly for women, because that's that's what they vibe really. But I think it's like with anything really, if it's done out of balance, if it's done extensively, it's not going to be good for you. Occasionally, it's okay. What is like porn on itself doesn't need to be like so bad, like as in like doesn't need to have this negative effect. It's the perception of porn that has a negative effect. It's the perception that, oh, this is the reality. Like this is what I'm looking at. This is how sex should look like, and it's so not. Like it is so not. Starting from the way the bodies are portrayed, and it comes to the sizes of certain like parts, body parts that are shown in porn, like and like everything in there. It's just so not realistic. Actually, like a lot of the times, I'm not talking about all of it, all of the porn, but a lot of the times it's not. And you're absolutely right that very often it's actually like degrading for women. Like this is the problem with porn. And then and because we don't have sex education, this is the only place where people go. Like this is super fun statistics that I love bringing up because it's so true. The Pornhub, they do this report every year, where they show different statistics. About how their users integrate with the platform, and I think it was 2 years ago that they showed one of the statistics that one of the most searched terms, like in the top 10 search terms, there were a few terms that started with how to. So people go to Pornhub to look for sex education. Like this is a bit maddening for me, because I was like, this
Mm-hmm.
is like almost like going to the cinema and looking for, like, the advice on how to like do stuff. Like it's literally, if you're looking at a Superman like movie, you're watching Superman movie, you don't think you're gonna like fly in a moment, right?
Right,
Like,
right,
so what
right.
makes you think that while watching porn, like this is what, like, this is the reality?
It's
It's
really
not.
interesting that you
It's
mentioned
not.
that how to. Like people don't
Yeah.
even know how to and to, because just to find out the answer of the question, they are being exposed to different types of materials, because just
Yeah.
like YouTube, you are just bombarded with different types of thumbnails and all those sort of things. So yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
It gives us a signal that people really need sexual education.
Absolutely, but I also would love to add that, like, again, not all porn is bad porn, and like not all porn consumption is bad porn consumption for sure. Like, I don't want to stigmatize the whole industry really, and I also would like to underline that right now it's actually, I mean, it's not the first year for sure. It's already like a good few years that there is this whole I mean, it's called feminist porn, although I prefer just ethically produced porn, a movement that is happening where I mean, it's starting really from the moment that the porn is being like the shooting is happening. And it started from the point of like how the actors and actresses are being treated on the scene, like about the consent that is happening there, about that everybody is like doing the STI testing, like, everything, like it's like a safe environment that is being created for everybody to feel comfortable, for like the for the actors and actresses representing different types of bodies, like, and absolutely not just like one, the perfect like type that is very often portrayed in porn. So like the absolutely the variety of expression also of sexuality, and then like the images are more realistic as well. So like we're moving also into like the our realm slowly but steadily of different porn as well that can actually be good for you. That can this porn might actually be a bit like more of a have a more of an educational vibe, although I still wouldn't take it as education per se. But still, it's just like it's sort of rewiring like your
It's
brain to think about sex as what like traditionally the porn
Yeah, I would say
presented.
it would be much better than the absolute degradation
Yeah,
stuff that we see, that
absolutely.
just start with everything.
Yeah.
Because it's not only giving you the porn experience, but maybe it's also educating you about how does the stuff happen, and maybe you could just pick up your bits of information, maybe you were lacking
Yeah.
before you were just directly jumping into this horrible massacre of
Yeah.
like people just degrading each other, for example. Right. So talking about your feminist porn,
Yeah.
um, you said that different body types are being accepted. There are different consents that has been taken care of. So uh, some people, like, not everybody is built like Hulk for men, and not every girl is built like a Victoria's Secret model.
Right.
How do you think like body image affects make the sex better, or for more likely worse? When you have a negative body image, does it affect sex negatively
Yeah.
for some people, and how can people actually overcome this type of thing?
Mm-hmm.
If you think like you're not really looking good in bed, and then you'll be really self-conscious with your partner.
Yeah.
Does he like me, does he not like me? And it can kind of kill the whole experience of
Yes.
enjoying that sexual experience with your partner. So
Absolutely.
what do you think about it, and how can people
Mm-hmm.
actually overcome it?
Right. Yeah. No. Definitely, it is very connected. Obviously, it is very connected, and exactly like you described that. Like, if you are not like if you're not feeling well in your body, you are going to be anxious, and hence, again, you're not being mindful in the moment. You're not being present in the moment. You're not enjoying the process. Not to mention that, like, the whole like if the feeling that comes up during sex is anxiety,
Right.
like pleasure leaves immediately. Like, this is it. So yeah, definitely there is a connection. I mean, not to mention like that you're when you have a better body image, like you're more prone also to like explore yourself and really know what your body likes. If you accept your body the way it looks, you also accept the way it feels like, and hence you are able to know what is it that how to pleasure yourself, and
Hmm.
hence you're able to have a better partnered experience as well. That goes both ways for like every person involved in the process, of course. And how we can change that? I mean, it's that is again a very individual thing. So I don't think there is like a one solution that fits everybody when it comes to this. But certainly, I mean, I will. This is not a professional thing, but I will definitely say something that, like in my case, just on a personal level, that like was really like a funky trick that I did absolutely subconsciously, is that really started following like people on Instagram who like don't look like models. Like, I started following like body positivity influencers and people who are just like out there, sort of being like, I am this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm whatever body size, whatever, like shorter, taller, doesn't matter. I'm this and I'm enjoying. I'm confident. I love myself. Look at me. And I started looking and I was like, actually, like they look like much happier people than the ones that are like really trying to stick to their body image. So this is more of a personal note. This is not my necessarily professional advice, but it did the trick for me for sure. And in general, when it comes to body image, it's like this starts from accepting, like
Mm-hmm.
sort of like, and the only way how you can accept it is by knowing it, like getting to know your body really, like really just looking at yourself in the mirror, for example, and like trying to, and again, mindfulness comes to play. So you look at yourself in the mirror, for example, and different things can come out. Like, and I'm talking about rather, I mean, ideally naked, but I know that not everybody would be comfortable with that. So like you can start with wearing some clothes and like sort of remove that slowly, and maybe in a few sessions even. That's also totally fine. But sort of looking at yourself in the mirror and like just looking, like not even doing anything, and not judging, and also like maybe not overly giving compliments at the moment, just like starting just by acknowledging like this is what it is, this is me. And if some thoughts, because definitely some thoughts and some feelings may come up, like sort of noticing them and letting them go, and just being with yourself, being with your own body, and like accepting that this is what this is. And of course, like later on, also definitely recommended to giving the love to your body, like that it deserves, like really looking at your ankles and be like, oh my god, I've got the best ankles ever. Have you seen my ankles? They're so pretty, like, and really just being into this, into like giving love to yourself, to giving all this that your body really deserves, because it's, I mean, this is also a very important thing in all this process, is that language wise we're very often disconnecting ourselves from our body, and we talk, oh, my body, or like even right now while I was speaking I was like, look at your body. But what is your body? It's you, really. I
Right.
mean,
Yeah.
it's like definitely there are, obviously it depends on your, depending on your belief, you think about like whether you have consciousness or you have a soul, or like whatever it is, like there is something besides just the body. But
It's not separate. It's technically you.
it's technically you.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And
That's
loving
exactly the
yourself
thing.
means first accepting yourself, right?
Exactly.
And on the point that, Yulia, I would just like to mention something, that because you said that you followed positive body positive people on
Mm-hmm.
Instagram, right? And for me, because like I like to work out and stuff like that, and my Instagram is completely full of these bodybuilders who have these unrealistic, unholy six packs, ab just chiseling out, which puts which puts a perception in my head that this is the actual body standard.
Right.
And that's the reason whenever I go to the gym and I'm like, oh man, there's a little bit of fat here and there, and so I'm not perfect. That
Right.
sort of creates a body dysmorphia within
Yeah.
myself. Now I'm assuming I'm not alone in this. These photographs are, first of all, these are super steroid driven, because people
Yeah.
are literally more obsessed with how they look rather than how they feel. And there is this whole movement about taking steroids and looking better. Just because I'm in my prime, from 21 to 30, my
Yeah.
testosterone is at highest, so I might as well take steroids and look my best. Later on, I don't care. Well, my testicles shrink or my body is full of pimples, or I'm bald, and when I'm 25 years old, I'm looking like a 45-year-old man. It just doesn't matter. Personally, I'm never going to do that to myself. But however, people think that beauty uh, is transactionable, because beauty is a commodity and every commodity has a price, and that's the reason
Right.
why people are more focused on looking the way they are rather than how they are inside. And especially in this day and age of social media, where you can take a picture and you can show it to yourself, and you must have noticed this, when you post a picture of you, let's say planting a tree, well, it will get like 50 likes. And if you,
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
post a picture with, like, just a slightly bit this, and you will get like a 250 likes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
it kind of gives us the reflection of the society, what they
Yeah.
actually want from, right?
Unfortunately, yeah.
And so which leads to another question. When you think about people should start accepting their bodies, but it might be a bit controversial, but is it the duty of a man or a woman, when they are in a relationship, to take care of the body to the best of their abilities, to be fit, so that their partner can be sexually attracted towards them? Do you think
Mm.
it's their duty? Or, if a person is just eating, getting, like, overweight or whatever, like, however it goes, I'm not there to judge, but is it their moral duty to be sexually attractive? Because in the case of monogamy, you're allowed to have sex with one person.
Yeah.
And if that person is not trying their best, at least, to look or seem a certain way that's sexually exciting, should the other person go look out for other options, discover prostitutes, discover have a consent with the person to have sex with other people, or what do you think about this? Do you know it's a very curved question there, but
Yeah, it's a
what
very curved question, definitely. And I think the most important thing is here, again, I'm back to the same point. Two people, if we're talking about monogamous relationship, two people should really do whatever fits them the best. And like that's it. Like this is literally it. If one person really believes that, okay, I'm gonna be like super unattractive, or like my partner goes like, hey, you're gonna be super attractive if you put on weight, like please don't put on weight, and it's okay with me, then it's okay with me. And if it's not okay with me, then it's not okay with me. Like that's it. This is as simple as that. And like the same thing goes to yeah, to like in general, like just our own perception of our body, and like how we take care of ourselves with or without the partner. Like if it's okay with me to be overweight, it's okay with me to be overweight. If it's okay with me to be really skinny, it's okay with me to be over skinny. Like over skinny, is that a thing? It's gonna be a thing now. So that's as simple as that. Like I would not use anything like duty. I would not use anything like must or should. Really, the only thing is like really just figure out what works for you, and that's it. And like roll with that, whatever it is that works for you. Because maybe there are two people who are really obsessed about being fit together. Like good for them.
yes.
Maybe there are two people who are like, hey, listen, I really like curvy, like a curvy person next to myself, so I'm gonna be like with this curvy, beautiful person. And maybe that curvy person decides to get skinny, and that person, that the partner of that person is really upset. You know, it can go either way,
Right,
really.
yeah. I mean, it also falls into the category of, oh, I like you this way, so I'm communicating that I want this thing from you. Or I would appreciate it if you just go to the gym and lose weight, telling them without them being offended,
Yeah.
or things like that. So it completely comes down to the point of how well you are communicating your feelings to
Yes.
your partner. If they are agreeing on that, if they are not agreeing on that, it means there is a part that you are not communicating it properly. Maybe you're offending them or something like that. But again, uh, it is your duty, that's what I think, it's your duty as a monogamous partner to listen to your partner. Not that they want to force you to an extreme point of you gotta be this, otherwise I'm out. That's also super toxic. But also, when you are in a monogamous relationship, you're only allowed to have sex with one person. You should always try to be the best version of yourself. That's what I think. That's what an untold thing is about that. Maybe some people could disagree with me, maybe not,
Yeah.
but that's what my opinion is. Also, Yulia,
Yeah.
your opinion is, as you said, it
Yes, but
was.
I only don't like the word duty in there. I have to be honest. Like they because I think exactly when you are in a thriving relationship, it's not a duty to communicate. It's not a duty to listen to your partner. You just do that because that's what you do, being in that relationship. Because if you perceive it as duty, it actually like it's sort of. I mean, I have maybe some negative connotation in me when it comes to the word duty, because duty makes me go like, okay, I have to do this. I don't have to do this. I want to do this. It's the thing that I do in a committed, loving relationship. Like I
Right.
communicate, I
Yeah,
listen,
exactly. Right.
I
You don't
respect
you
and all
don't
of that.
have to do something.
Yeah.
You want to do it.
Yes.
So maybe we are understanding the word duty in a
Yeah.
different way, but I think it's the better word would be it. You should be willing to
Yeah.
do out of love. Not the
Yes.
duty like you just need to pay
Lo-
attendance to something, but out of love, it's your skip duty and
Yeah.
put a better word there to provide the best your partner can have, because you are the only person that could provide them.
Yes.
So, talking about we are approaching the end of the podcast, and
Right.
let me give you another statistic that 15% men have estimated to have had sex with a prostitute. Now, does well, and we are talking about married men. When people are approaching a middle age, they tend to cheat more. That's what I'm not saying it again. That's the statistic. Does it happen because of sexual dissatisfaction, lack of respect, or just the thing about trying something new, or is it all of them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I again, very individual thing. That would really depend on a very specific like case, and we could sit down with those couples that have cheating in their relationship and ask them why they did that, and this is the only way to get that answer, really.
Okay, so
But I
next.
think the hypothesis that you have on here, they actually they do make sense. I would add one more thing is that people are not aware that there are other options. Like they really stick to the like very rigid monogamy. Like again, like we're really in the age where it's like, all right, we've been in a relationship for 20 years. let's talk about opening it. Why not?
Yes, Will
You
Smith and
know?
Jada Smith.
Yeah, there you go. I don't know if that's the best example, but anyway. But yeah,
Yeah.
definitely, like people are unaware of other options. People are unaware of communication. Like people are, I think a lot of this, like in general, a lot of issues in relationship are caused by lack of communication.
Hmm.
So hence, I think this is also probably it, that maybe like again there is some unresolved conflict, or maybe this like specific person wanted to do something in bed, but they couldn't communicate to their partner, so they went outside of the relationship and cheated, like because it was like the only way for them to satisfy their need, and not even because their partner couldn't do that. They couldn't even tell that partner that they wanted this.
Hmm.
So like really, it can be multiple different reasons, but it's true that it's happening, and I think again, lack of sex education, lack of education on how to communicate with your partner, and lack of understanding the that monogamy is not that simple, and it's actually okay to try like different
Is it
ways.
natural though? Because it's a super debatable
Mm-hmm.
topic when it comes to, are human beings designed to be monogamous,
Mm-hmm.
or are we non-monogamous? What do you think about that?
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's a very good.
Personal, I really want your personal opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Just forget about the world, right?
Okay. Well, if you are we okay, you want my personal opinion on monogamy, or
Yes.
do you want my personal opinion on whether monogamy is natural? Because these are two different things.
Is monogamy natural?
Is monogamy natural? I don't know. My personal opinion is that I have no idea, in all honesty. I think in some way it is like parts of it is definitely natural, like as in like the union that like comes together to like create life, for example, like evolutionary, that does make sense. But also define natural, because naturally then like we think about men as like this, creatures that need to spread their semen as far as possible, and
Yeah.
women as this creatures who are trying to keep, like the man in the
Trying to choose,
house, like
yeah.
they, if we're talking about like the natural thing, right? So for me, like I would definitely would love to understand the definition of natural in this specific case. And talking taking into account that we're talking in 2024, I think the only natural thing is really to ask yourself what is good for you, and like what is it that you're okay with and how you would like to have it. This is the only natural thing, really.
Right. So, what is good for me, or what is good for society? Because there is
Mm.
another Harvard research. Again, guys, whatever research I'm talking about, I will list all the studies. So just don't come at me with swords and arrows. Here's the thing. Monogamy in the long run is really, really good for society as a whole, because it keeps men into control. Men keep, not. It would be a wrong word to say men keep their wives, but men and women stay together. They give birth to healthy children. There are less cases of infidelity, men running around everywhere, and there's always a good system of families which feel safe together and strong, in a thriving system. So in that case, monogamy is really, really good for society. And when it comes to non-monogamy, well, you can always have open relationship, but for that, again, it's a very slippery slope. If you just have an open relationship just because you feel like, I want to discover something, and you're not really taking consent with your partner and all those kind of things, I think it could be again a recipe for disaster. But if you're, let's say, in your mid 40s, you have discovered, you've been there, you've done it all, and then if you want to take consent and discover your own options, I think it could be one of the best ways to live your life, because as far as I know, you only live once.
Yeah,
And
yeah. I mean, yeah,
yeah.
arguable, but nobody really knows. But okay.
But yeah.
No, but I wanted to add on that like there is a question of like what is good for society, because I mean we've been living, especially I think in Poland, we've been living in quite conservative, monogamous, and I'm gonna put this two quotes in here, society. And is it really good? Like,
Can we blame on monogamy, or can we blame it
I
on
mean,
something else?
part of it, yes, I would say so, because like there are so many families that are like they're just sticking together just because somebody said that they should be sticking together, and like not really doing anything outside the relationship, and not even talking about like opening it and whatever.
But I also think this
Yeah.
is not just in the case of Poland. Poland could be, yes, Poland, Belarus, Ukraine, Russia. This is like quite a conservative society.
Yeah.
But let's even get to the more conservative front of India, Middle East, and
Yeah.
all that. Yes, there are so many couples who stick together.
Yeah.
Um, yes, there are some problems with that. There is domestic violence. There is too many other things going on with it. But overall, for society to grow and thrive, it could be another debatable question about whether monogamy is natural, or whether people just going their way and discovering their options could be better. We will definitely have a different podcast with it, hopefully with Miss Yulia and one other esteemed guests, and there you can find more about it. But Yulia, how about we jump to our lasting questions? Can can sexless relationships be healthy relationships?
Absolutely yes. If that's okay with both partners, why not? Like I
Perfect.
absolutely don't see why not.
Perfect. And how does having kids affect sexual intimacy?
Greatly. I think it's definitely one of those life-changing events that affects sex lives. Certainly, it does not mean that it makes it worse or better. Like I would like to underline that, but it does make that it definitely changes it. Like there's definitely adjustments that need to be done. I mean, people are discovering themselves in their new roles of mother and father, and they're having less time naturally. They're also like after, of course, like after giving birth, like the body of a woman needs some time to heal. So partners are prompt to exploring, like I mean, if they're willing, of course, like exploring different types of sex outside of just like the traditional penetrative sex. And yeah, so it's like it's changing a lot. Like really, you have to adjust. And this is, I think, circling back to what I said about the setting the right expectations. So if you're expecting for it not to change and stay the same after the kids come, and like only minor adjustments maybe, then yeah, that might be quite tough. But if you're expecting it to change and you're like, okay, I used to have sex like 3 times per week, but after my kids come, it's gonna be like 3 times per month, maybe, for now at least. Then it's okay. Then all of a sudden, like the acceptance makes the whole thing okay, and you don't
Right.
sit there thinking, "Oh God damn it, why it's not 3 times per week?"
Right. There's this thing about like, if the relationship is not working, boom, let's have kids.
Yeah,
You,
right. That's what monogamy does. I'm
yes.
just saying.
Yeah, yeah. And then if you're not in a monogamous relationship, you're like, oh, kid, kid, kid.
Wow, this is such a great perception of the world we're having
like
right here.
3 kids. What's better than one? Three. So,
Right.
anyways, yes, definitely having kids can affect your sexual life negatively. However,
It-
positively as well if the if you're involving kids.
if you're a person
There,
Poland.
there are certain precautions that you have to take. You should check your door, lock it, and lock the kids inside, or you lock yourself outside. Just take it. But however, for first 5 years, that's what I heard from a statistic that your sex life, you could kiss goodbye to your sex life, which is going to be a really hard word to say, but as long as you are taking precautions, I think you would be okay.
Yes,
Uh,
right.
Last question for today, Yulia. 42% of
Okay.
adolescent users, um, as we were talking about, is pornography at a higher level or a lower level. 46% of the internet users are exposed to pornography in the past year, and 66% reported uh, it unwanted. So, how does porn actually affect sexual health? Does watching porn um, degrades the sexual environment between two people when they are being intimate, or does it improve it? You can also watch it with your partner and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
because here's a really big concern about it. People are watching porn and they are having the same expectations of porn within their sexual partner,
Yeah.
and I think it's quite unrealistic when you think about it, right?
No, absolutely.
So
This is, I mean, like literally like anything. When it can be a gift and a burden. Like if you use pornography as a tool, for example, to explore what turns you on, or like as a tool to like really help you like masturbate on this specific day, and like you're just like as an entertainment. There's like really not a lot of bad like harmful thing that it can do to you. But obviously, if you're like sort of building your whole image of how your sex life should be on porn, and like you really go like, okay, if it's not that, then my sex life sucks. Then well, this is a problem. Or
right.
again, overusing it is also like can be quite problematic for people. Just in general, having the right expectation and using it in a balanced right way, like there is not much harm that porn can do if it's used in a balanced way. It's just it's not always easy to use it in a balanced way. That's for sure.
Right.
And there is also like not all the porn that is out there is actually like healthy looking, let's say.
To lack of the better
Is
words,
lack of the
yeah.
better words, exactly. But yeah, that's what I think
Yeah,
about
keep
this.
it moderate, guys. Keep it simple. Only Tuesdays afternoon with a morning cup of coffee. Just discover your fantasies. And coming to the end, Julia, what's the best and the worst piece of advice you have ever gotten?
What a peculiar question.
Yes.
I mean, I really don't like the best and the worst part of it, to be honest, because it's like I've got so many shitty pieces of advice and I've got so many great ones.
Mm-hmm.
But I will definitely tell you what, like, the first thing that comes to my mind. I think all the worst advice that I, right now, and ask me tomorrow, it might be a different thing, but right now, what I can think about is all the pieces of advice that are connected to, you gotta work hard to get something good in your life. Like, this is
Okay.
I think, one of the worst pieces of advice that I got. And it's not about that not putting effort and just sort of sitting and chilling and
Yeah,
waiting for
yeah,
things
yeah,
to
I get
happen.
it.
It's more like, working like within something that like brings you joy and maybe something that you're passionate about, or just sort of also like sometimes things and it just happen to you just because you put effort here and it came from this way. So it's not that straightforward, like, as you know, this thing, but that's connected to what's happening in my life these days. So I think this is why it's the first thing that comes to my mind. And then the best advice, I mean, it comes with a little story. Once I was traveling alone, actually. I was in Croatia, or Greece. Croatia. I think it was Croatia, but it doesn't matter for the story. So I was there and I wanted to jump from a cliff, like into the water. Like I really like water and like jumping into the water. So like I had my GoPro with me. I put my GoPro somewhere
And
to
someone said,
for it to
just
film me.
no. Was it the best one? That way?
Almost as close enough. But so, and there were literally like a group of like some random dudes from Romania, and like they offered me help. They were like, "Do you want us to shoot you from the water because it's gonna be a much nicer shot?" I was like, "Oh yeah, let's do that." So they're holding the camera, and I'm getting up onto the cliff. And the moment that I got onto the cliff, it's like I start having this like I start to freak out. Like, and I go like, "Okay, this is way taller than I expected." Like I'm starting to freak out, and this random ass guy from Romania who's holding my GoPro in that moment, he goes
Was
like,
it okay?
"Don't be afraid. All it takes is 1 second of bravery." And that phrase, just like this 1 second of bravery, it stick with me, and I used it so many times in my life when I was afraid of something, afraid of like leaving my comfort zone, doing something new, like experiencing a new thing, like, and literally just like thinking, okay, it's literally takes 1 second of bravery. You don't need more, because once you start doing it, you're doing it. That's it.
You're in it.
You're in
Yes.
it. You just need this one. And that's it.
Yes.
So, and I find this story beautiful, and I love it so much, and I use that advice a
That's
lot.
brilliant. That's amazing.
Yeah.
All it takes is 1 second of bravery. So
Right.
go ask that girl out, go start that podcast, and go contact Miss Yulia if you are having issues. Even if you're not, she's an amazing human being. It was an amazing episode. Everything about her Instagram, her YouTube, we will list down below in the description section. Please tell us, how did you like it? Would you like to see her again? I personally would. And thank you for our cameraman, Mr. Daniel. It was an amazing episode. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you later. Goodbye.
Bye.